July 4, 1997. Santa Monica Hospital, Mexico City. 6:47 a.m. A black Mercedes pulls up to the exclusive private hospital. The man who steps out looks ordinary, middle-aged, unremarkable. The kind of face you'd forget 5 seconds after seeing it. But he's the most wanted criminal on earth. His name is Amado Carrillo Fuentes. Net worth $25 billion. More cocaine than Pablo Escobar ever touched. A fleet of Boeing 727s that earned him a nickname whispered with fear across 2 continents. El Señor de los Cielos, the Lord of the Skies. Today, he's checking in as a patient under a false name, with bodyguards securing the entire floor. For the next 8 hours, surgeons will reshape his face, reconstruct his jaw, remove 30 pounds of fat. He's a drug lord worth more than some countries, and he's so paranoid about capture that he's willing to literally become someone else. A new face, a new identity, a new life. Then something goes catastrophically wrong. At 3:17 p.m., the monitors flatline. The surgical team panics. His own bodyguards stand frozen in the operating room, watching their boss die. Or do they? Within hours, the body is transported. Within days, it's buried. Within weeks, people close to Amado start whispering the impossible. That's not him in that casket. What happens next sparks one of organized crime's greatest mysteries. Murdered doctors sealed in concrete drums. A toy airplane that travels across borders on its own. A body with the wrong scars, wrong hair color, wrong skin tone, and evidence suggesting something the authorities will never admit. That Amado Carrillo Fuentes pulled off the ultimate disappearing act. This is the story of the man who conquered the skies, owned an entire government, and might have faked his own death so perfectly that even his enemies believed it. December 17, 1956. Guamuchilito, Sinaloa, Mexico. Population barely 3,000. A young boy looks at his parents and 10 siblings crowded into their small farmhouse. Poverty everywhere. No future here, just fields, dust, and generations of the same struggle. Amado Carrillo Fuentes is 11 years old when he makes his decision. I'm leaving to make it rich. With a 6th grade education and nothing but stubborn belief, he walks off the family farm toward a life that will make him richer than most countries. His family couldn't know that one day people would whisper a single number whenever they said his name. 400. 400 people tortured and killed on his orders. His uncle, Ernesto Fonseca Carrillo, runs operations for the Guadalajara Cartel. Not exactly a family connection, more like a criminal university. And Amado is the star student. While other young men learn honest trades, Amado learns logistics, diplomacy, violence, and most importantly, how to stay invisible. The Guadalajara Cartel teaches him the cocaine business from the bottom up. Routes through Colombia, distribution networks in America, bribery systems that reach from street cops to government ministers. But Amado doesn't just learn the lessons, he improves them.
By the late 1980s, most traffickers are moving cocaine by truck and boat. Slow, risky, limited capacity. Amado stares at the sky and sees something no one else does. An answer written in clouds. Early 1990s, somewhere in Mexico, Amado Carrillo Fuentes does what no drug lord has ever done before. He buys an airline. Not one plane, not 2, 30 Boeing 727s, each one capable of carrying 6 tons of pure cocaine. While Pablo Escobar is moving hundreds of kilos in submarines and trucks, Amado is moving tons, plural, per flight. Do the math. One Boeing 727 carries 6 tons. 6 tons equals approximately 6,000 kilograms. Street value in America? Over $100 million per flight. And Amado isn't flying one plane, he's flying 30. In 48 hours, Amado can move 25 tons of cocaine. That's $500 million in 2 days. More money than most people will see in 1,000 lifetimes. And he's doing it every single week. He doesn't just change the game, he breaks it completely. The planes land on remote airstrips in friendly countries. Pilots rotate constantly. No one person knows the full operation. Flight plans bend around radar coverage. In hangars he controls, loads are repacked with assembly line efficiency. When weather or surveillance pushes back, he flies lower, later, stranger. By 1997, Amado Carrillo Fuentes is worth an estimated $25 billion. $25 billion. That's not drug dealer money. That's nation-state money. That's change the world money. But here's the thing about being the richest criminal in history. Everyone wants to find you, and everyone wants you dead. With great power comes great responsibility. But in Amado's world, it wasn't responsibility that came with power. It was attention. Amado Carrillo Fuentes understood that better than anyone, so he did something remarkable. He disappeared. Not physically. His empire still runs like clockwork, but his face vanishes from existence. Police files circulate without photographs. Witnesses describe different men. When someone claims they saw him, investigators can't agree if it even matters. He becomes known as the capo without a face. The reason Amado survived was he'd been careful enough that even his assassins didn't know what he looked like and shot the wrong man. Think about that. He's so invisible that professional killers hired specifically to murder him kill the wrong person because they don't know what he looks like. But invisibility isn't luck, it's payroll. Amado spends $2 to $3 million every week on bribes. Every week. That's over $150 million per year just to keep people quiet, to keep systems bent in his favor, to keep himself invisible. Judges, military commanders, air traffic controllers, customs officials, police captains, politicians. Everyone has a price, and Amado pays it without blinking. His biggest cop, General Jose de Jesus Gutierrez Rebollo, Mexico's top anti-drug official, the man supposed to hunt down drug traffickers, the man leading the charge against organized crime. He's on Amado's payroll for years. The man responsible for stopping Amado is actually protecting him, sharing intelligence, warning him about raids, redirecting investigations toward his competitors. It's the perfect shield. And Amado feels untouchable. He builds a mansion in Mexico City, 6 jacuzzis, a life-sized playhouse for his children, parking for 30 cars, gold fixtures everywhere. But that's just his everyday house.
In secret, he's building something else. Something outrageous. A Middle Eastern-style palace he calls the House of 1,000 Nights. $5 million in construction, Arabian domes, ornate archways, escape tunnels stretching for miles underground, a fortress fit for a king who rules from shadows. But there's a darkness behind the wealth, a brutality that defines his reign. Amado Carrillo Fuentes ordered more than 400 murders. Let me say that again. 400. Think back to that farm boy who left Guamuchilito with nothing but a 6th-grade education and a dream. Could anyone have predicted that this kid would become capable of such brutality? That the boy who grew up around chickens and cornfields would one day order men to be dissolved in acid barrels? Money doesn't just change people. It transforms them. It rewrites their moral code. It replaces empathy with calculation. That farm boy learned a simple equation early.
Violence equals respect. Respect equals control. Control equals money, and money equals power. Each step made the next one easier. Each murder made the next one less significant. After the first 10, it became numbers on a ledger. After 50, it became routine paperwork. After 100, it became Tuesday. These weren't quick bullets to the head, not clean assassinations. These were torture murders. Hours-long sessions designed to break a person completely before ending their life. Bodies left in public squares, hanging from bridges, dumped on highways, each one a billboard advertising what happens when you cross El Señor de los Cielos. The methods were medieval: acid baths, blowtorches, pliers for extracting teeth and nails one by one. Some victims were dissolved completely in barrels of chemicals, others were fed to animals. The creativity of cruelty was endless. Why such brutality? Because fear is currency in the drug world. A quick death is forgettable, but a body found in pieces arranged in a specific pattern with certain parts missing? That story spreads. That story keeps people loyal. That story prevents the next betrayal before it even begins. But here's the twisted part. Amado genuinely believed he was still a good man. He built schools in his hometown, funded churches, gave money to poor families. When the priest confronted him about the violence, Amado's answer was simple. I can't retire. Thousands of families depend on me for their livelihood. In his mind, he was a job creator, a provider, a man feeding communities that the government had abandoned. In reality, he was flooding American streets with cocaine and leaving a trail of blood across 2 continents. His organization ran like a corporation: sales divisions, operations management, HR departments that recruited pilots and ground crews, accounting that tracked billions in cash flow. But unlike legitimate corporations, failure meant death. Betrayal meant torture. Mistakes meant your family found your body in pieces. By early 1997, he controlled an estimated 60% of all cocaine entering the United States. His weekly revenue exceeded $100 million. He employed thousands of people across multiple countries. His bribes reached the highest levels of Mexican government. He was unstoppable, untouchable, invisible. He had built the perfect shield. Billions in bribes, thousands of loyal soldiers, government officials in his pocket. But every shield has one weak point, and Amado's was about to be exposed by the one person he trusted most. February 1997. The news hits like an earthquake. General Gutierrez Rabollo, Mexico's top anti-drug official, has been arrested. The man who protected Amado for years is now in handcuffs, his corruption exposed for the world to see. Overnight, the most powerful drug lord in the world stands naked. Without his government shield, every law enforcement agency on earth is hunting him. The DEA, the FBI, Mexican Federal Police, Interpol, and they're all closing in. Amado does what any billionaire on the run would do. He tries to buy his way out. He flies to Russia, requests asylum. They refuse. He tries Cuba. Castro's government says no. Chile, also no. Governments that quietly welcomed other wealthy criminals want nothing to do with El Señor de los Cielos. He's too famous, too wanted, too dangerous to hide. A man with $25 billion and nowhere to run. So Amado needs the most desperate decision of his life. If money can't buy time, maybe it can buy a new face. The plan is brutal in its simplicity. Walk into a hospital as Amado Carrillo Fuentes, walk out as someone else. Not a simple nose job, complete facial reconstruction, new jaw with prosthetics, eyes and nose reshaped, liposuction to change his body profile. Everything altered, everything new. New face, new identity, new life. Vanish with billions. July 4th, 1997. Independence Day in America. Freedom Day. Under a false name, Amado checks in to Santa Monica Hospital in Mexico City. His bodyguards secure the entire floor. His personal doctors stand by. The surgical team prepares for an 8-hour procedure. At 6:47 a.m., the anesthesia takes hold. The cutting begins. For 7 hours, everything goes exactly according to plan. Scalpels cut, prosthetics are installed, fat is removed, a new face takes shape under the surgical lights. The machines beep steadily, heart rate normal, blood pressure stable. Then, at 3:02 p.m., the heart monitor spikes. 3:09 p.m., blood pressure dropping. 3:14 p.m., alarm screaming from inside the operating room. Voices erupt. Charging. Clear. The distinct whine of a defibrillator again. Charging. We're losing him. We're losing him. But these doctors aren't just panicking about another patient. They know something the bodyguards outside don't fully understand yet. They know that if Amado Carrillo Fuentes dies on this table, they die next. You don't fail El Señor de los Cielos and walk away. You don't lose the most powerful drug lord in history and get to go home to your family. Come on! Come on! A surgeon's voice cracks with genuine terror, not for his patient, for himself. 3:17 p.m.
The monitors flatline. Silence. Then, chaos. The bodyguards burst through the doors, weapons drawn. But what can guns do now? Their boss lies on the table, his face destroyed and reconstructed, his body deflated from liposuction, his heart stopped. The doctors are frantically working, chest compressions, more drugs, more shocks, sweat pouring down their faces because they all know. Heart failure, they'll say later. Maybe anesthesia overdose, maybe a malfunctioning respirator. The official story will shift depending on who's telling it. But here's what nobody can explain. His own bodyguards were steps away. They saw everything unfold. They heard their boss dying. Why didn't they stop the surgery earlier? Why didn't they intervene when the monitors first spiked? Why didn't they pull their guns and force the doctors to do more? Those questions never get answers. The body is transported to the morgue. Bruised eyelids, snipped nose, dark circles around the eyes, the skin mottled and deflated from liposuction. After 8 hours of surgery, the corpse barely looks human. Identification becomes a problem, and that's when the conspiracy begins. November 7th, 1997, 4 months after Amado's death, police are driving on the highway between Mexico City and Acapulco when they spot something strange by the roadside. Several large steel drums, each one 66 gallons, heavy, sealed with concrete. They open the first drum. Inside is Dr. Jaime Godoy Singh, one of the surgeons who operated on Amado Carrillo Fuentes. Tortured, nails ripped out, burns covering his body, strangled with cables, then entombed in concrete. The second drum contains Dr. Ricardo Reyes Rincon, the other surgeon. Same torture, same death, same concrete tomb. A third drum is found nearby, but authorities never confirm what's inside. Some reports suggest it contained more body parts. Others claim it held evidence. The truth gets buried with the contents. Someone wanted those surgeons silenced forever. Someone wanted to make sure they could never talk about what happened in that operating room. But who and why? If Amado really died during surgery, why murder the doctors 4 months later? What could they possibly reveal that was worth this level of brutality? Unless the surgery didn't go as reported, unless something else happened in that room, unless the body in the morgue wasn't actually Amado Carrillo Fuentes. The funeral happens quickly, too quickly. Some say within 48 hours. Amado Carrillo Fuentes is in the ground. Case closed. The Lord of the Skies is dead. Move on. But then people who actually knew him start looking at the photos, and the whispers begin. First, it's his associates, the men who worked beside him for years. They look at the morgue photos and something feels wrong. They can't put their finger on it at first. Just wrong. Then someone notices the hair. Amado had a distinctive white streak running through his dark hair. Not dyed, natural. He'd had it since his 20s. Everyone who knew him mentioned it. It was one of his most recognizable features.
The corpse? In the morgue? Completely dark hair, no white streak anywhere. Then the scars. Amado had specific scars from childhood, a mark on his left shoulder from a farming accident, another on his forearm from a knife fight in his 20s. Visible scars that people had seen dozens of times. The corpse? Smooth skin, no scars. The skin tone is wrong too. Amado had relatively light skin for a Sinaloan. The corpse is noticeably darker, several shades darker. And then there's the mole, a distinctive mole on his lower back. Amado had it his entire life. Family members knew about it. Close associates knew about it. The corpse? No mole. One discrepancy you could explain. Surgery, swelling, post-mortem changes. Two discrepancies? Maybe coincidence. 3, 4, 5? That's not coincidence. That's a different person. His cousin Sergio goes public with a statement that stops everyone cold. Amado is fine. He is alive. He had surgery practiced on some poor, unfortunate person to make everybody believe it was him. Think about what that means. Really think about it. Someone who looked similar enough, similar build, similar age, similar facial structure, someone kidnapped or bought or coerced, brought to that operating room, put under anesthesia while being told they're getting reconstructive surgery. 8 hours of cutting, reshaping, making them look even more like a Carrillo Fuentes. And then, at 3:17 p.m., the complications begin. A body double? A human sacrifice? A decoy corpse? It sounds insane. It sounds like a movie plot. But this is a man who spent $150 million per year on bribes, who owned generals and politicians, who had enough money to buy anything, including a human life, to take his place. But we haven't told you about one detail yet. One small detail that either confirms every suspicion or destroys them completely. A toy airplane. Amado Carrillo Fuentes carried a small toy airplane everywhere. Always a good luck charm, a reminder of the skies that made him rich, a symbol of the empire he built. Everyone who knew him mentioned the toy plane. It was his trademark, his constant companion. When he died, it should have been among his personal effects, in his pocket, in his hospital room, somewhere with the body. It wasn't. Weeks after his funeral, the toy airplane appears at his girlfriend's villa in Chile, the same Chile that had refused him asylum weeks before his death, the same Chile that wanted nothing to do with El Señor de los Cielos. How does a dead man's toy plane travel across international borders? The simplest answer, it doesn't. Not on its own. Someone carried it there. Someone who was alive. Someone who knew what that toy meant. Someone who wanted to send a message. The DEA dismisses all conspiracy theories immediately. Elvis-level nonsense, they call it. Fingerprints matched, they say. DNA matched. Dental records confirmed. Case absolutely closed. But the speed of the confirmation makes people suspicious. Within 48 hours of death, they have DNA results, fingerprint analysis, complete certainty. In 1997, DNA testing takes weeks, not hours. Fingerprint comparison requires clear prints from the body and clear reference prints on file. Dental records need actual dental records, which means finding Amado's dentist and getting cooperation. All of this happened in 2 days? Some investigators whisper about irregularities in the process, files that appeared too quickly, results that came back too clean, pressure from high levels to close the case immediately. July 4th, 1997. Independence Day. The day Amado Carrillo Fuentes either died in the most ironic way possible or became truly free. You've heard the evidence. The body that didn't match, the doctor sealed in drums, the toy that crossed borders, the official story that shut down too quickly. Was it the end of the Lord of the Skies, or just another flight plan?